Mark Rodriguez, and I'm known as the lung transplant stonemason. I'm the only person ever to do stonework after 2 double lung transplants. Well, both of those things come with a lot of pain and a lot of trauma. Um, about a month ago, uh, I got together with Ken in excruciating pain from basically head to toe. Ken was able to start working on some things in me that were really, really bad. My shoulder, which I've been told needs reconstructive surgery. My neck and my shoulders, both of my shoulders actually, were in really bad shape. And it just went from there. It just went down the ladder. My lungs, of course, um, were something that needed to be dealt with as well. I've been battling a microbacteria in my lungs for about 5 years. And both of my hips needed help. My knees were in bad shape. I was also a college basketball player, so you can imagine the wear and tear put on my knees just from that alone, not to mention the almost 30 years of stonework. My ankles, because I'm a basketball player, also have taken a beating over the years. So I was in bad shape, to say the least. My hands and my thumbs, really bad. I've been told I need surgery on both of my thumbs, and I imagine I have some carpal tunnel syndrome in both of my hands, both of my wrists. So where did we begin? I mean, where do you start with all of that? You know, it's a huge laundry list, but really the greatest effect that Ken had on me was dealing first and foremost with a lot of the emotional trauma and the emotional pain that I was in because of all this. This journey started for me in 2010 when I was diagnosed with silicosis fibrosis. A year later, I got my first transplant. 3.5 years later, I had a fall that caused a pulmonary embolism the size of a nickel, which put me back on my deathbed and in worse shape than ever before. Through all that process, I was able to get my second transplant on January 24th of 2016. I was on my deathbed before that for about 6 months. And those 6 months seemed like 6 years. And there was many days where I didn't think I was going to make it, but I did. And in 2020, August of 2020, I returned back to stonework. And that was difficult. And that was very painful. Not just in my body either. Well, when Ken began working with me, I think that he realized very quickly on that he needed to fix my energy and fix some of the things that were surrounding me. He referred to them as ancestral trauma and past life trauma. And he was dead on. I used to have this recurring dream that I was covered in white dust, only wearing a loincloth, chipping on a huge block of stone. And when I went to strike, I gave it all I had with a loud grunt. And then I coughed and out came blood all over my chin and my chest and my arm. Well, I then went to a nearby puddle of water and looked at my reflection. And then I would wake up, breathing heavily, freaking out in a cold sweat. And this would happen periodically throughout my stonework career. Most of the time when there was a job on the line, there was a deadline, something like that. Well, that was my dreams telling me what lied ahead for me. Because when you die of pulmonary, of silicosis fibrosis, what happens is you cough so much that your pulmonary artery bursts and you bleed out. Well, Ken identified these things as well as some other things having to do with my neck. My neck was in bad shape. And this started about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, maybe, when I was working on a federal job where I was required to wear a hard hat and a face shield. And it felt like my head was like a bobblehead. It was just, kind of doing this. And this is when these neck problems really started. And they've just gotten worse over time. And I've gotten work done. I've gotten massages and chiropractic work, but nothing ever really seemed to help. Well, when Ken identified the problem, he identified more problems than just the neck. And as he stated, some of this stuff was ancestral and some of it was past life. I never really understood it like that. I never really even thought about it, that could be a possibility. But the way that Ken has dealt with my pain and removed some of the things that I kind of refer to as like a black cloud following me around was amazing. It was life-changing. Now, it didn't take effect overnight or immediately. There's been a couple of different sessions involved. But I feel like now, all these coats that I've been putting on season after season, coats of pain and coats of trauma and coats of darkness, have been slowly being removed by Ken. And it was as if after the first session, some of my pain did return after the first session. But what didn't return was that black cloud feeling. And more of a feeling like I could move forward in positivity and power, like I wasn't being held back. And then in the following sessions, that pain that was returning was diminishing quickly and noticeably. There was things that Ken told me in our sessions that there's no way that he could have known. There's just no way he could have known. And maybe some people might be skeptical when it comes to things of this nature. And I admittedly, I was a bit. But when he talked to me about things about my father who had passed, about things that he saw in my past lives, I knew without a shadow of a doubt that this was legitimate and that Ken's gift was as legitimate as they come. And I really respect Ken for using his gift to help people get unstuck from a lot of the things that hold us back in life. And debilitating pain is one of them. And some things hold us back and we're not even really aware of. I mean, I wasn't aware of some of the things that were happening in my life were because I never healed in a previous life. But when Ken told me that he had to ask my team of angels for permission to heal me, and he described them, I could see them in my mind. I could see them in the upper area looking down on us, giving their approval. And when he told me that Jesus joined them on their second session, I was convinced that I was in the right place with the right person. And Ken has a gift. He definitely has a gift. But many times in life, when people have gifts of this nature, they get confused and they use them for their own good. But I truly feel that Ken is using his gift to serve others, to improve others' lives so that they may move on, like I said, in power and positivity, and release the things of our lives that we hold on to that are unnecessary, and help us to move on from operating in self-sabotage. See, sometimes in life when we're sick or we're in excruciating pain, the negative thoughts and the negative self-talk set in, and we feel like we have no worth or no value. And that's where I was. Even all the things that I was accomplishing after my second transplant, I still felt, I guess the only way for me to describe it is worthless, because my body wasn't working. It wasn't working like I expected it to. It wasn't working like I needed it to. But I've always been a warrior. I've always been a fighter. And I've never been a quitter. But even warriors need healing. Excuse me. Even warriors need healing. Even warriors need a healer. And I can 100%, without a shadow of a doubt, give my endorsement to Ken as a gifted healer. He does things in a way that sometimes we can't even explain. You just have to experience it. And I don't know that any of my words can do his gift justice, or even how he uses that gift. Many times you see people talk about their God-given gifts, but they only use them for themselves. And that becomes self-serving. When it's a true gift, you use it to serve those around you that need it the most. And that's what he did for me. So if there's anybody out there maybe concerned or questioning whether or not this is a good move for them, I can tell you that it will be one of the best moves you'll ever make. If you decide to use Ken as a healer and let him use his gifts to help you, you will not only benefit in the short term, and you will not only benefit in a physical way, you will benefit in the long term, and you will also benefit mentally and even spiritually and even in your soul. And as I say these words, I am emotional. I'm an emotional being. But a lot of that was locked away or drowned out or covered in all these coats that I put on season after season when they weren't necessary. They were buried. But now that I'm freeing myself of the pain that has dominated my life for more than likely the past 2 decades, I can see in the direction that I'm moving, I can see light, I can see positivity, and I can see opportunity in abundance. Whereas before, I was just trying to make it to the next day without complaining too much about my shoulder or my back or my hip or my knees or my ankles or my sternum that's held together with medical hardware. But little did I know, with all that physical pain, that most of the pain that I was experiencing was right here and right here in my soul. And when Ken was able to work in a positive direction and a positive manner to help me in those areas, then and only then was I able to receive some kind of relief and some kind of healing in my body. And for that, I'm eternally grateful for this man, that he uses his gifts for others and not himself. And that is the true definition of a gifted man, of a healer. Thank you, Ken. I don't know if you'll ever fully understand what you've done for my life, but from my heart and soul, I'm eternally grateful. Thank you, my friend, for having the courage to take on a broken, damaged, battered, suffering man and bring him forward into the light where I wish to be, where I want to be, and where I need to be, and also where God knows I can be. Thank you, my friend.